Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It's Elizabeth Eleanor, and we're doing pause. We're pausing for a moment to reflect on life, relationships, conscious relationships, and frequencies. Living in the fifth dimension is what we're going to be talking about today. So, my intention is to support you to recognize your relationships and whether they are moving into those higher dimensions or whether they're still stuck in those third dimensional aspects. So, I'd love for you to say hi while I work out if I'm still on or if I'm actually on. Let me get my thing up and ready. Am I here? Yes, I am. I'd love for you to say hi in the chat. Sometimes I feel like I'm talking to myself. So I'd love for you just to say hi and where you're watching from. It'd be nice to have a conversation about this because this is where we're heading, right? This is the new consciousness of love. Moving into heart space where we're transforming our relationships, right? Where we're connecting in with those higher dimensional frequencies and out of the limitation of being separate and stuck. So I think we talked about it before. Fifth dimension is all about unity consciousness. It's where we're heading, where we're moving out of the us and them and out of those judgments of being different or separate or not belonging, all of those things, and moving into that place where we actually recognize that I am you and you are me, and we're having a conscious experience of ourselves as one being that's just separated itself into little parts so that it can experience itself, right? One consciousness. I won't say one being because then that implies that there is something like there's an entity that looks like us, right? Which may be the case, but may not, and we have no idea, right? So my intention is to let's talk about this. Let's talk about what living in those higher dimensions are and what it feels like to be in a relationship with that sort of connection, right? So this new consciousness is about stepping beyond the old paradigms, right? Beyond fear, beyond control, beyond codependence, like where we're dependent on somebody else external to us. It's really about aligning with love, intuition, and co-creating our reality together, right? And living in that place where we are more aware that we are part of a bigger whole. And so when we clean up those old beliefs within us of separation, the trauma, the pain, the stuff from our childhood, the stuff that is the stuff that made us think that we weren't good enough, the stuff that really gets under our skin and stops us from really connecting heart to heart with someone and opening, especially us women, we have got so many underlying cellular traumas that are, not just in our own personal life, but all of us, and men too, right? Like I don't want to define us as different, but people in general have a cellular memory of trauma. If it's not from your past and your conditioning from your childhood, then it would be in your family lineage, because there's no one on earth that hasn't had someone in their family go through some sort of trauma, whether it be a war, poverty, a relationship breakdown, heartache, someone passing that they loved, dis-ease in their body. Who knows this to be true, right? Throw it in the chat if you've got a memory that's popping up of a story from your childhood or from your family. You know, you've heard of a story. I remember when I went through this process. I went on a walking meditation, and we had to step in. We had to look at our mother, like imagine our mum in front of us, and then we had to forgive her and love her and all the things. And then we had to step through her eyes into the next woman behind her, right? Which was my grandmother, right? Now, in my family, my mum hated my grandmother. I think I met my grandma about 3 or 4 times in my whole life. She detested her. She said she was evil. She said that she shouldn't be in our life, blah, 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 blah. She had a horrible childhood, and she held on to that pain. She still does, except for she's actually going through dementia, and she's now reliving some of that pain, which is very unfortunate. So, guys, I've got to tell you, you really got to sort your stuff out, because last time I went and saw Mum, she was worried because her mum was in the corner and had, she said, you got to stop being so nasty to Mum. And I thought, she thinks I'm Auntie Elsie, right? My auntie. So she's reliving any of the traumas, and that's what I think dementia is reliving things that you haven't dealt with, right? And it's really challenging to watch, and to be part of. So I'm doing my best to help her go through that with the skills that I have, which is, lucky. I feel blessed that I've got those things. But, getting back to my grandmother, my auntie, my mum wouldn't let me see her because she had this thing that, grandma was horrible and evil and blah, blah, blah. So here I was in this walking meditation, and I stepped through my mum's eyes, and here I am in front of my grandmother. And there was this blank stare and then this evil every so often, right? And I'm like, oh, that's really weird. That's sort of like what Mum was talking about. Well, next thing I know, I see my grandmother, her spirit sort of in the cloud, like in next to her, sort of floating. And I get this information that says she had a horrific childbirth. She'd, whatever had happened in childbirth, her soul had not wanted to come through and stay in the body. So her soul had sort of not quite grounded into the body. And so that gave space, like here's this almost empty vessel for other energies, like other spirits to come in and take over. And so, we went through and I went through more of my mother's and all that sort of stuff. But what happened was when I got out of there and I finished the event, I raced into the car and I rang Mum up straight away and said, I want to tell you something, but before I tell you, do you know anything about Grandma's birth? Because I was new to all this, and I was like, was that real, or did I make it up, or all of those things. And so I asked her, and she said, no, I don't know much about it, but she said my grandmother said that her birth was so traumatic that she didn't see her for a month, because her face was so distorted that it took a month for all to settle. And that was sort of like a validation for me that what I saw in this meditation was true, right? So even just the birthing experience of the people in our family that have gone before us, that have held on to trauma within the cells of our body, of their body, affects the DNA. And when the DNA replicates with that trauma. Like they're experiencing and knowing this to be true with epigenetics. And so then you think about those DNAs replicating with all this trauma in it from generations past, just trying to work this place out just like us, right? All of these people that have come before us trying to work out how to live on the world, on the planet, and survive and thrive. And back then, like, this is really the first generation that's wanting to enjoy life and to experience a higher level of consciousness. Before that, it was just survival. So all of that replicates, and then next thing, you're being ingested as a 9-month-old baby. Like, you're growing in these conditions with all of this trauma, and we birth it. Like, we have it, we carry it in us as we're born, right? Now, not to bring you down or anything, right? But it's the truth. And so we really are the first generation that have come to the planet and that goes, well, we actually choose something different. Like, we've come to the planet at this time as time and space and consciousness is ready to evolve in itself into this place where we have the ability for the whole world to level up, to raise into a new level of awareness, and the earth itself is moving into that higher vibration. So we chose to come here as souls to experience this moving from one dimension into another. And so, when we're in those old paradigms where we're still in relationships that are a bit controlling, that you fear or feel uncomfortable speaking your truth or making your own choices, those relationships are still anchored in the old paradigm. And this is about operating in alignment with a new truth, with that new level of love and intuition and connection, where we feel safe to express ourselves and our love and honor our first choices that come from our intuition, right? Let me know in the comments if that's you. If you're ready to make that shift, if you're ready to step into that newer version of yourself, into that more empowered state, moving from need into choice, right? Where we're focusing on soul alignment and mutual growth rather than dictatorship and separation. We're embracing our authentic being and our vulnerability. Like, that's a new level of consciousness in itself, right? As a society, we have always seen vulnerability as a weakness, and now the new level of consciousness is moving into that space where we are seeing vulnerability as a superpower, because it takes a strong person to feel vulnerable and to show that vulnerability to another human being, right? Because our reptilian brain, the part of us that is used to being in the cave and fighting for life, or might get attacked by the saber-toothed tiger outside, vulnerability was a weakness because you could die. Whereas now, vulnerability is moving into that space of being open to receive and stepping into your intuition and your feminine power, right? So how do we do this? How do we step into this place where we're more vulnerable, more accepting of others, more intuitive, willing to co-create, willing to recognize ourselves as powerful beings, and that the people in front of us are powerful as well? How do we step into that place? Well, as always, I'm going to speak to you about connecting to your higher self, right? connecting into that place where you're in relationship with your intuition and you're using that intuition as a guidepost. You're building that strong, powerful connection with yourself first. Because when you have a relationship with yourself first, you're setting the tone for all other relationships. You're attracting connections that reflect your highest vibration. You know, in Calling in the one of my courses that I run, one of the ladies was saying, oh, you know, I've just met this guy and he's, you know, a little bit older than me, and he wants to spend all this time with me, and he's been a little bit forceful, and I'm not sure if I'm ready for a relationship. You know, I've got so much going on in my business, and you know, I'm a bit time poor. She's got kids and all the things, and she said, but you know, like I'm sort of enjoying the interaction, and I know that he's someone that will look after me and support me and all of those things. And I had to remind her of choice, that, you know, she is the one that's in control, and that if he is the right person, if he's her one, the one that's going to be her forever partner, or just, you know, her divine partner for now, the one that she's going to fall in love with, then he will take note of what she's requesting. He will understand when she speaks her truth and want to support her in that, want to encourage her to be in that space of allowing her to have some freedom and some space as they get to know each other. Do you see that? Do you understand the difference between someone that's overpowering, and then we go into that good girl people pleaser that's so naturally innate within us that we don't even realize we're doing it? Those parts of us that are conditioned from childhood, and generations of women that weren't allowed to speak their truth, weren't allowed to have an opinion, weren't allowed to make choices. That's all within ourselves, within our DNA. And when we can pull ourselves out of that, when we can, you know, this is where recoding comes in, the type of work that I do. When we can release and neutralize those codes out of our body, out of ourselves, out of our higher self, you know, like those codes are waving around here in the superconscious, as in the quantum field, as I call it. Superconscious is what I call it, the quantum field that it is. When we can neutralize those codes, then we have an ability to let go and recognize when they come up. Ah, there that is again. And we're not so attached to it, right? What happens when we're in that sort of situation, we find ourselves, you know, someone asks or wants something from us, right? And within, as you know, straight away we'll have some sort of moment where we go, oh, I don't know if I want to do that, or, you know, I haven't got time, whatever it might be. We have some sort of inspiration of what we want, right? But within seconds, microseconds, our unconscious comes in, and the old paradigm, the old programming of being rejected, or, you know, fear of not playing nice, not being the good girl, all of those things from, you know, all the cells, all the stuff that's in our energy field from our generational history comes in, and next thing we're making a new decision that's based in old information, right? Oh, maybe I'll do it this once. I don't want to, you know, rock the boat. And maybe this guy is the right one, right? And we start second guessing, and we start settling. Well, you know, it's okay that, you know, he's a bit overpowering because he suits my needs in this and this and this area, right? We start settling for less than. Instead of listening to ourselves the first time and listening to that first inspiration and speaking our truth. That's what happens when you're dealing with just third dimension. When you can clear those codes, that hook doesn't happen. You have the moment still, but it's more, as I say to my clients, it's not a wave where it and it latches on. It's more like a swell. You feel it come up like, you feel like you want to you don't want to rock the boat, or you want to, be nice or whatever. You feel it come up, but you don't grab hold of it, and you're still in that frequency of what it is that you really choose, what it is that you need in your life. You have those moments, right? Who knows those sort of moments where you take on and listen to yourself and go, well, actually, that's not going to work for me today. Today, I need to spend more time with my kids. So what if we organize something for another day that's going to suit me better, right? We take action on those moments instead of the one that's going into people pleasing. So as I was saying before, the key pillars of conscious relationships is connection to self first, higher self wisdom, being okay with listening to your intuition, really releasing those old beliefs, being aware of them in the first place, right? Being aware of them in the first place. Noticing when they come up and not letting them hook into you and play them out. And as I said, this is the sort of work I do, right? The recoding. So, connecting in with conscious communication is really coming from the heart, is really choosing yourself first, is really filling your cup up and getting to know, who am I inside? What is my truth? What are my healthy boundaries? What do I choose to, what are my values? And what are my, what do I stand for, and what do I stand against? So that I know that I'm solid as I move into these situations, into these relationships, into being conscious. Because the more you vibrate at this frequency, the more those other relationships will fall away. Those things that, those vibrations of control and fear and, all of those old vibrations, they fall away, and they give rise and space for these new conscious relationships, these relationships that are heart-centered, that are open to clarity and truth from the throat chakra, right? That are looking for growth and spiritual and personal growth, and want to co-create with you, that are mutually inclusive. Aren't these, who wants that? Give me some love hearts if you're the type of person that sounds like your jam. That's something that, you want to go down that rabbit hole. you want to live in that wonderland, right? Throw a yes in the comments if you're someone that wants to live in those higher vibrational places. Because it really means just stepping into that place of doing the work and clearing the stuff, right? Clearing those old patterns that try and hook you in, so that you know your heart more. You're open to receiving the information from your higher self. So, it sounds like you, Irene. That's lovely. I've got a few people on here. Everyone is too scared to put a yes. Or maybe, actually, what I have a feeling is that people are listening to pause while they're doing other stuff in their house, right? Getting kids ready for school, or, driving or whatever it might be. So if that's you, come back and just throw a love heart or something in the Judy. Hey, it was lovely to have you. I love the orange love hearts. And if you're watching the replay, please put hashtag replay and let us know, because I love being able to come back in and say hi to you. I want to just share that this in December, we're not doing a monthly mixer this month, but what we are doing is a 12 Days of Christmas email series. You may have seen it in our Facebook, community, where we've put a few little posts about it to put in a little gift as an emoji in the comments, so that you can access our 12 Days of Christmas email series. And what we're doing is we're sharing some of the highlights and taking you on a bit of a journey down the rabbit hole of good fortune and talking about all this stuff, but bringing up some of the old stuff that I talked about way back, even before it was pause, before we were talking pause, and we had a dose of sunshine. There was a few different things that we've had in here. And then I've done those spontaneous Facebook lives, right? So we'll rehash scripting and the 3 powers. There's a few different things that are in here that we're going to get you to go and have a look, so that you're really ready to step into your power and to create such an amazing place and build momentum ready for January of next year. So if you're interested in doing the 12 Days of Christmas email series with us, then just throw a little gift. I think it's a gift box. You can get it in the emojis under nature, I think, and anyway, somewhere in there's a little gift box with a little red bow tie. If you're interested and want to be part of that 12 Days of Christmas email series, then just throw that in to the comments and we will make sure that you get that. So take care, enjoy your day and your week, and I will catch you in the next pause. See ya.